everyone, welcome back to my little film and TV channel. I hope you're all staying safe and well. We've got a film here that's been causing quite a little stir in and around, some good reviews. Yes, it's so good, the title. We said it 3 times. Yes, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. That's what we're looking at today. Nothing to do with Bodies' beer or bitter. If you live here in the UK, you know what I'm talking about. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Yeah, we'll have a look at that today. Please, if you are new to the channel, push that subscribe button, push the bell notifications, all these vlogs are coming out. I try and inform and also try and entertain, if possible, a bit about these film reviews and information vlogs and TV drama reviews, etc., etc. And I've also do some few vlogs on my football team, Manchester City, as well. So if that's of any interest, or someone who could be interested, please point them in my direction. I would be very grateful. And of course, comments always very welcome about this film or anything film and TV. It's great to get them. And of course, if you can't give us a comment, just give us a thumbs up as well. Just makes an old film and TV watcher very happy if you get some thumbs up. It's always nice to get them. It's nice to be appreciated. It's nice to make that token gesture. Thank you very much if you can do that for me. Right, Bodies, 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 a 15 certificate, 94 minutes. Class as a black comedy. Well, we'll talk more about the comedy later. I don't know where the black comedy. I do like a good black comedy, but I don't know where that came from. Horror thriller film, directed by Helena Rain. Is it in her English language debut? Yeah, written by Sarah Delap from a story by Kristen Rupinian, and this stars, amongst others, a couple of familiar faces to me. Certainly a couple of the guys in this. Amanda Sternberg, Maria Bakalova, Maria Harold, Chase Sui Wonders, Rachel Sennott, Lee Pace, and Pete Davidson. Rotten Tomatoes, what are the public thinking? Well, they're quite positive. Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes is 69% positivity, 3.7 out of 5 equates to what? If my maths is correct, 7.4 out of 10. And the consensus, the view of these Rotten Tomatoes audience, it may resonate more with younger audiences. Yeah, possibly, yeah. But Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is one horror comedy. Forget the comedy, guys. There's no comedy in this. That doesn't skimp on scares or laughs. I mean, there's a bit of a black comedy right at the end, but that's the best part of the film. Internet Movie Database, 6.8 out of 10. So again, positive. As I say, I am in the minority on this one. I accept I'm perhaps getting too old for these guys. But yeah, I'll try and explain anyway as we get through this. 8,845 scores and reviews left on Internet Movie Database by Joe Public, people like you and me. 6,336 liked it, scored it between 6 and 9. That's 81% positivity, because only 1,436 scored it between 2 and 5. Theatrically released on August the 5th, 2022 by A24, who an okay reputation. And yeah, what's it about? Well, it's about a group of rich 20-somethings, which, okay, part of the problem for me, I suppose. I don't really care for them. I like to invest in characters in a film. They plan a hurricane party, yeah, well, happy days, at a remote family mansion. A party game turns deadly in this fresh and funny look at backstabbing fake friends and one party gone very, very wrong. Again, a funny look. I don't know where the funny look was. The critique. Let's get on to the critics. Were they as kind as the public? Well, yes, they were. So again, I'm in the minority. 86% of 200 reviews are positive. 200, that's quite a lot. An average rate of 7.1 out of 10. That's 171 fresh and 29 rotten. Although interesting, some of the reviews, but we'll get more of that in a moment about how they're sort of positive, but with the score. But they do have some negative comments to make. Kevin Mayer from the Times here in the UK is fresh on this, as I said, but strange enough, his comments aren't totally positive. He said, the fun, of course, is in the pillory, yet the deliberately loathsome nature of the characters soon becomes draining. Well, this is it, and as I say, it's draining. I just didn't enjoy watching them for the first hour and 10 minutes of the film. It certainly drained me. Sort of got going. We wanted the sort of blandness to end, and eventually it did. But I say, a lot of people might have turned off. I sort of, we hadn't been reviewing it. I might have turned off before the end when it all got good anyway, which it did. I'll give it credit. It did get good towards the end. Clarice Luffrey, we love Clarice. I love that name. Clarice. Independent from the Independent UK said it's peak nihilistic entertainment watching these souls try in vain to keep their fragile reputations intact. Don't forget, everyone got a reputation, in all fairness, while they drenched head to toe in blood. Yeah, once or twice. Towards the end, keep going. Reputations, yeah, just a horrible bunch of young people up themselves. So I was thoroughly impressed if they all got killed. But again, more of that. K. Austin Collins from the Rolling Stone, though he wasn't as happy with it. He was a bit like me. Bodies, 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 directed by Halina Reggin, takes a handful of familiar tropes and vampirically sucks the stupid fun out of almost all of them. Yeah, fun, as I said, I agree with that. Not much fun in this for most of the film. The website's consensus on Rotten Tomatoes, impeccably cast. Okay, it's a good young cast, nothing wrong with the cast. Smartly written, possibly, if someone perhaps good picked it up for the last couple of scenes or something. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is an uncommonly well done whodunit. Well, it's clever by the end, but it's not great to begin with. Is this the? I did comment. Is this the film right in this? But perhaps he didn't see the start of the film. Metacritic, a score of 70 out of 100. So again, guys, I know I'm doing a downer on this, but a lot of people are very positive. That's based on 42 critics score, but anyway, between 58 and 91. The Guardian's Benjamin Lee give it 60, but again, wasn't totally wholeheartedly positive. Who doesn't require so many moving parts to be expertly placed and played with? And ultimately, the script isn't as sleek as it needs to be, with a board as ambitious as this. The game is a fun one, but you might feel a little cheated once it's over. Yeah, well, I felt less cheated once it was over. As I said, I felt a bit cheated when it started, but yeah, you give it 60 though, Benjamin. As I said, it's weird, isn't it? You give it a good score, but not overly enthusiastic in the actual review itself. Pace Magazine's Aurora Amidon loved it. When it's all said and done, Bodies is everything it sets out to be. It's a romp of a good time, stylised with big, bold title cards and a soundtrack of club hits like it's the Bling Ring's bloody cousin. Yeah, I wasn't overly impressed with the soundtrack. So there you go. Yeah, let's have a look at this. I'm not going to give this a mark, guys. I'm not going to give it a mark. If I had to give a mark for the last, say, quarter of the film, I would have probably give it 7.5 out of 10. But the first 3/4 of this film, I would probably not give a mark above 2 or 3. So no mark from me overall, which is a great shame. If you think of the old days, when I was young, you used to go in the pictures. You could watch the end of a film. We used to go in pictures at night. You could watch an end of a film. It sounds a bit daft these days, doesn't it? It ruins things. And then stay to watch it all again. And that's what you could do. You probably could do it now, and you just sneak into some of these cinema complexes. Of course you could. But anyway, and that's what's happened with this. If I'd watched the last 25 minutes of this, I would have thought, oh, that's cracking, that's great. But the trouble is, it was the first 3/4 of it. It's just not enough to keep me, to prove I'm worth a mark for the whole film, and that's what I'm marking. I'm marking the whole film, not just the ending. Perhaps this proves them too all. I just don't know anything. There's a lot of low budget slasher B movie tropes and formulas for this one when it was for most part trying to be clever for most part at the start, and it wasn't. It didn't really work. Horrible bunch of characters, as I've said, which I felt hard to invest in. Couldn't find one of them really was that interested in throughout. Oddly, as I said, some of the maturer critics who've been around for a long time are actually scoring it okay, but then we're a bit critical in the comments. Perhaps the people who like this film just would look at the scores and not delve deeper. So possibly a good ploy if your sort of livelihood depends on scoring films and getting people to read your stuff. I suppose that's a good way of doing it. So that's fair enough. And yes, if you fell asleep for an hour at the start of this film and woke up for the last quarter, you may be convinced it was a really good film, which I probably would have been if I hadn't seen the start of it. As for black comedy, well, for me, this was non-existent. It was obviously the twist at the end, which was a good big twist, was interesting in a black comedy sort of way. But at the start, as I said, for the first hour at least of this film, if not an hour and 5-10 minutes, I just wanted the storm that was supposed to blow through to blow the house down and kill them all, in all fairness, and get rid of the rest of it. All in all, for the first 10 or 15 minutes, it didn't sort of click in, it didn't sort of get going. And then all in all, for the last 10 or 15 minutes, it did. But was it all a bit too little too late? Well, it certainly was for me by then, because I'd sort of been thoroughly frustrated with the rest of the film. Just a lazy imitation of some great black comedy slasher movies that are already out there for me. Until, yes, it finally does deliver in the end. But there you go. But as I say, guys, it's just one of those films that for me was 2/3, 3/4 disappointing and a very good ending, but it doesn't deem a mark for me. I was just a bit disappointed the whole thing could have been done a little bit better. And it wasn't. Let me know what you think, guys. As I said, perhaps I'm showing my age with this one. I don't know, because it didn't. There's nothing to entertain me for most of this film. But let me know your thoughts. Be great to hear from you. And I say, interesting debut from this director. Interesting film in how it was put together. As I say, if I scored it after an hour, I would have just thrown it in a bin and said I'm not going to review it. But let's say what happened at the end. It's like a series, it's like one of these series that lasts for 8 episodes, and it puts all the good stuff in the last episode. Although you sort of just watched it and it chugged along for the first 7 episodes, so then it gets you ready for season 2. Then by putting everything in the final episode, and that's how this one struck me. Anyway, there you go, guys. That's my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. Be great to hear from you. Please, until we meet again, stay safe, everyone. Bye for now.